Hi there friends, and welcome to my review of Amazing Cultivation Simulator. I'm Ic0n, and this video is broken down in 4 parts. So first up, we're going to do an overview about the game, then we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, and a summary after that. So let's get started. First up, what is Amazing Cultivation Simulator? A lot of people have compared it to RimWorld in the past, and I can only say you couldn't be more wrong about that. The only thing RimWorld and ACS have in common is that they use a kind of like a similar graphics overlay, and the devs have taken a few things here and there from RimWorld, like item organization or the moodlet system of your people here. If you check out the status and health system, this is kind of relatable but different anyways. But here, the mood system giving you mood plus and downs, a social system about how people like each other. These things are very RimWorld-esque, but there's where it stops. If I would try to categorize this game, I would call it a sandbox RPG with incremental elements. I'm going to talk about that later. But overall, this game's all about picking somebody who wants to strive for godhood, training him, making him an immortal, and building a monastery, sect, whatever, to defend yourself, build a culture behind that, conquer the world. I mean, there's a huge world here, build a nice fancy base, fight demons and gods and such things. So I would consider this game heavily into the high fantasy genre. Gameplay wise, it is more an RPG than a base builder game. It has very, very deep and rich base building mechanisms, like let's just take the occultism system with the feng shui and the materials and such. There's a lot of things going on in this game which make it a solid base builder, but the devs didn't take that as their main goal. It's more about having a bunch of immortals trying to be even better than they were before, then rebirthing again and doing it all again to be even more powerful. So that's basically the gist of it. In between, you get to decide if you're going to be a good bunch of people or a bad bunch of people. There's a selection of good and evil, and in between that, there's insanely much to do. You can go forward and try and make a living and breathing being out of this thinking and talking door. Or you could try and feed some animals and make them awakened creatures. Or you could try to make one of your people a demigod, then rebirth him again and restart again. There's really a lot of things going on that you can do here, and that's why I call it a sandbox RPG. So much for the overview. Let's go right into the good stuff. The good stuff about this game: it's rich, it's deep, it's vibrant, it's lovely. I mean, look at those graphics. It's really, compared to other games of this genre, it's really looking gorgeous. Let's unpause that for a moment and follow our people doing their everyday chores. It's really, really lovely to look at. The sound design is solid, and it's really just fun to play around in this world. On top of that, you get a insanely deep system wherever you look. I mean, to give you a few small examples here, every meal that's been prepared, here we have stir-fried beef, here we have spoiled meals, lots of them. Whoops, it's nothing I should be too proud about, huh? But well, can't show it properly here, but what I'm trying to show you is that whenever they are cooking a meal, it even depends on the used ingredients. It's a random generator, which is really powerful and really impressed me. And apart from that, there's tons of other things, random events that we see here, so let's get to one of our people here. This is one of my cultivators. That's how people are called, which are well, in the Western tradition, we would call them mages or whatever. It's more like that. So when we look at that, positive things, here we see a skill tree, which is accessible for the person. We can choose from this catalog of laws, which are basically all just skill trees, if you look at that. And every single of these skill trees leads to the demigodhood. So as we see here, I haven't unlocked tons of them. The game even creates random skill catalogs for you every time you start the game, and the best about that, every single skill can be cataloged in your library, and your folks can just go there and learn everything the game has to offer. So it's really insane in terms of sandboxiness, because you can literally decide for yourself what your character should be or not be, because you can just select what they're learning. On top of that, you get a vibrant and rich world which you can explore, trade with. Every single of these places is a pre-constructed map which you can enter and have adventures on and discover what's going on there. And I haven't even uncovered the full map yet. So every single of these red dots here is a place which can be explored, just like this Mount Shu location you see here. There's 5 things around it. We didn't see them either. So there's a high probability of all these places having tons and tons of extra areas which we can explore, farm at. It's awesome. The world is huge. The game is huge. Everything in this game is rich and detailed and deep. There are layers after layers, and whenever you think you start to understand how the game works, you get slapped something into your face like this formation system. Bang. What's that? I have no clue yet. I haven't found the time yet to check it out. So I'm in here like 50 or 60 hours into the game and still flings a lot of things into my face I have no clue about. But that doesn't matter, because it's fun to check them out and learn them. And I personally like games that offer you this kind of depth and this kind of variety to choose from. It's really awesome. So you can also choose what kind of starting map you want to play on to begin with. So this is just a default map. You can create insane fantasy environments and whatnot. It's really cool. And the icing on top of the cake is it's moddable. The Chinese community, where the game's been originated from, already put up more mods for this game than RimWorld has altogether. We just need to wait until it gets translated for us Westerners. So that sums up to a really brilliant and insane game, doesn't it? So let's talk about the bad things, because every game has bad things. And also ACS has a few bad things. So first up, I want to talk about the user interface. While the user interface is pretty solid and such things, there are a lot of little things that are just annoying to begin with. There are, I feel like a few things just need to be optimized. Like, for example, here's the movement of your people. This is very RTS style, but I can't draft them or put that on a right click, that movement. No, I have to press V and select where they have to move. And this is all very archaic. Like, this is really, really archaic. And when you try and discover maps, so for example, I can't order my people into the fog of war. I always have to send them on the border of the fog of war, and this really feels tedious at times. And this game has a lot of these little tediousnesses, which resolve mostly around the clunkiness of the user interface. But first up, this game has a bajillion of mods which haven't been translated yet. And therefore, if I compare it to other games of that genre I know, like Factorio or RimWorld, which are heavily moddable, I don't compare now the game concept, I just compare their moddability. And one thing I noticed about both of these games, their accessibility grew by a lot with the mods I enabled. And RimWorld and Factorio also have a lot of things where you're like, you want to enable that mod to make it less clunky. I guess this game has the same things, but sadly, right now as I'm recording this review, there's not too much translated yet. But I'm pretty sure, give that a year or two and we're through with that. So what's bad about this game apart from that? There's only one more thing I really want to talk about, and that's the steep learning curve of this game. This game has one of the steepest learning curves I've encountered since years, I guess. There's so many layers going on in this game, so many moving parts which are interacting with each other permanently. That's one thing on its own. But since the game originates from China, the translation is, well, not that good as you would like it to every times, at all the times, sorry. And therefore, a lot of things just happen which are very, very janky. And, well, here we have a random event. Don't want to talk about that too much here. We were busy elsewhere. So the learning curve. You have to learn how to build rooms. You have to learn how to do feng shui properly. You have to learn how to develop characters properly. There's basically, behind every single mechanic of the game is a little bit of a learning game hidden. I don't know if that's because Easterners are just conceptualizing their games differently than us Westerners, and it's just me not being accustomed to the way Eastern games are programmed, but I honestly think the devs wanted to give a challenge there. The thing here is I had to check out tutorials. I had to ponder about things for hours and trying around, and yeah, I might guess that's not for everybody, because demanding games are fine and everything, but not everybody has the time, the will, or the nerves to get through that. So I'd say one of the biggest downsides of this game is its learning curve, but I'd say we'll never get past that too, because this game is meant to be played like that. But to be fair, I mean, we're talking about downsides here, but I gotta say, it feels very rewarding to grow past that, and whenever I learned my stuff, I enjoyed the game even more afterwards. So there's always two sides to a medal, but I think I really want to emphasize here, this game involves a lot of learning with a lot of things, like temperature management is something interesting, how you get your rooms designed that your people are learning as fast as possible, how you get your rooms designed that they are even able to progress in their magic cultivation stuff. It's a lot. How to get your people moving on the world properly, how to make friends with these people, how to trade new skills, how to talk with people. It's basically everything behind this game doesn't work as you would expect it at the first glance. Might be absolutely entertaining because you're super bored with games and you're like, everything's too easy. I hate cookie cutter games. I love to have a challenge. Well, ACS is just here waiting for you. So let's transition into the overview and the summary. Not the overview, into the summary, and talk about ACS as a whole. So, as you might have noticed, my bad sides are very few, and that's also where my overview is headed. This game is maybe one of the best sandbox RPGs we have met in 2020. And considering that the devs started this project in 2019, at the beginning of 2019, and now at the end of 2020, we have already such a beast of a game. I'm very positive about the future of ACS. I think there's going to be a lot more going on. I hope that across the next months we're going to see better and better translation stuffs, because I didn't really feature it in the downsides category, the translation issues, because I think they will be ruled out in a few months. We're not going to talk about that in a year or two anymore, I think. But right now, it really diminishes the accessibility, but that's only a thing for a few more months, because sometimes translations really give you a wrong impression about things, how they work, how they're meant to, how they're supposed to be. A few hours ago, I just sold an elemental item, which I didn't want to sell, but the text box told me that somebody wants to sell an item for this price, and yeah, it was a translation issue. The text box actually meant that I want to sell my own item, not buy the one. So there's a lot of things going on in this game right now which are working like that, but as far as I see things, it's getting better every week. So apart from that, do I like this game? Yes, I do. Would I recommend this game? Absolutely, to everybody who's willing to grind through a learning curve like that, because once you're through that, this game gives you amazing freedom about what you want to do. Want to go for a evil human sacrificing godhood that's just more demonic than anything else? Please, go. There's a lot of things you can go for. There are challenge modes, like an Iron Man mode. There are different challenges inside the Iron Man mode. There are so many things to play around with. I already talked about the mod workshop. I guess there's going to be a ton of things ahead of us, which I don't even know about yet, like I don't speak Chinese. I can't read Chinese, so I have no clue what they're programming over there. But yeah, this game is really, really a big recommendation of mine, as long as you're willing to chew through the insane learning curve and accept that the user interface is quite finicky and a little bit eccentric at times. But I have high hopes that these things will be ruled out in the future. The learning curve, though, it'll stay. It's a definite thing about this game. So I hope that's been some kind of information you'll be happy about. Feel free to drop me a comment down below if there are any questions about the game. If you felt like I missed a spot you definitely want to talk about, drop it into the comments. Apart from that, leave likes, leave subscribes. They help us a ton to make this game a little bit more visible, and a lot of people will appreciate that too. Until then, I hope you're having a great time and come back soon. See you then. Goodbye.